In this pod, we're going to revise the present simple tense of regular ar, and ir verbs in Spanish. We'll also look at reflexive verbs and radical changing verbs.
We use the present simple tense to convey what we normally do. You might say, I play football on Saturdays, or I go to the shops every day. However, if you look through a dictionary, you can't simply find I speak or you speak. You'll need to look for the base form of the verb. This is known as the infinitive, and its meaning is always shown as to do something. In this case, the infinitive is hablar, meaning to speak.
We categorize these verbs by their endings. In this case, hablar is an ar verb. There is a set of rules for ar verbs that allows you to change or conjugate them. So, how do you do this?
Begin by taking away the ending of the verb. This is always the last two letters, regardless of whether it's ar, or ir. If we do this to hablar, we're left with habl. Now, you add one of the following endings depending on what you'd like to say.
Hablo, meaning I speak. Hablas, meaning you speak when you is singular and informal. Habla, meaning he speaks, she speaks, or it speaks, depending on the context. It can also mean you speak when you is singular and formal. Hablamos, meaning we speak. Habláis, meaning you speak when you is plural and informal, and hablan, meaning they speak or you speak when you is plural and formal.
These endings apply to any infinitives ending in ar. We also have rules to remember for verbs ending in er. Take the infinitive, beber, meaning to drink. Strip away the last two letters and replace them with one of the following endings to change the meaning.
Bebo, meaning I drink. Bebes, meaning you drink when you is singular and informal. Bebe, meaning he drinks, she drinks, or it drinks, depending on the context. It can also mean you drink when you is singular and formal. Bebemos, meaning we drink. Bebéis, meaning you drink when you is plural and informal, and beben, meaning they drink or you drink when you is plural and formal.
Finally, let's look at the changes you make to ir verbs. Let's use the word vivir, meaning to live, as our example. We have
Vivo, meaning I live. Vives, meaning you live when you is singular and informal. Vive, meaning he lives, she lives, or it lives, depending on the context. It can also mean you live when you is singular and formal. Vivimos, meaning we live. Vivís, meaning you live when you is plural and informal. And viven, meaning they live or you live when you is plural and formal.
If you want to make any of these words negative, you simply add no before the verb. No bebo means I don't drink. No hablan means they don't speak.
Some verbs end in se, as with levantarse, which means to get up. You'll find a lot of those when you talk about your daily routine, but they'll have conjugated, so you won't see the se. For example, you might say,
Primero me ducho, me visto y me peino.
This means, first I have a shower, I get dressed, and I comb my hair.
All of the verbs in the sentence are reflexive. You'll notice that they have a reflexive pronoun in front of them, me.
It's easier than you think to conjugate or change reflexive verbs. First, ignore the se on the end of the infinitive. When you remove it, you can clearly see the verb is left with an ar, an er, or an ir. If we take the se from levantarse, we're left with levantar. This is clearly an ar verb. At this point, it follows the rules of the ar verbs we discussed earlier. However, it also takes a unique reflexive pronoun. These are
Me levanto, meaning I get up. Te levantas, meaning you get up, when you is singular. Se levanta, meaning he gets up, she gets up, or it gets up, depending on the context. Nos levantamos, meaning we get up. Os levantáis, meaning you get up, when you is plural. And se levantan, meaning they get up.
Finally, some infinitives change their stem, not just their endings, when they're used in the present tense. These are known as radical changing verbs. There's actually a surprisingly easy rule for this. An e in a stem word changes to an ie, and an o in a stem word changes to a ue. This affects every form except for the we and the informal plural you forms. The ending of the verb follows the usual pattern depending on what kind of ending it is. Let's look at querer, meaning to want. It's a very common radical changing verb to see.
Quiero, meaning I want. Quieres, meaning you want when you is singular. Quiere, meaning he wants, she wants, or it wants, depending on the context. Queremos, meaning we want. Queréis, meaning you want when you is plural, and quieren, meaning they want.
As you can see, the e in the stem has become ie, except for the we and plural you forms. The ending has followed the usual rules.
We leave it there for verbs in the present simple tense. Buena suerte!